Hey, what's up? So, I've been delivering for about a year now, and I've gone through the different apps: Uber Eats, DoorDash, Favor, and I wanted to make these videos a while back, but I'm just trying to make this so people are aware of how they can make the most with their time. And one of the things I'd recommend is that you first start to learn is your market. So with that, you should know like the prime times to deliver. So obviously, most places it's going to be your lunch rush and your dinner rush. Occasionally, some places um, there's going to be breakfast, but more than likely, lunch and dinner are going to be the most bang for your buck as far as picking up orders from these restaurants and delivering to people. Um, One of the other things I would say to learn is getting into most of the apps that are most common to people, but figure out which one is the most worthwhile. So, for instance, if you live in a certain area, you might have a lot of heavy users that use DoorDash, but maybe not so much in Uber Eats or say Grubhub or like Instacart or something like that. You always want to know what most people are using in the neighborhood or the area that you're delivering. So, with that, if you use all three, because a lot of people nowadays do what's multi apping, and so as a driver like me, they'll be on all three. And so, what that allows them to do is pick and choose which service to use, and also gives you a higher chance of, say, taking a $15 to $20 order versus someone's $3 to $4 order, or just a constant barrage of low orders. And with that, that's why you should get to learn your market. So, some times of the day, it could just be horrendous. So, it could be a big waste of time if you know that people in the area that you live in are not tipping or just ordering like a drink or a shake or something, and then they're expecting you to deliver it. And obviously, if they only paid $4 or $5 for something, then more than likely they're not going to tip you more than $5 for what you're delivering to them. And with that, you should really learn more on like your operating cost. Figure out, how much gas it takes you to do 3 or 4 orders that are within like a certain mileage range, or how much it's going to cost you to fill up your tank, or the current cost of gas. Um, you need to get comfortable with saying like, okay, I'm willing to go 5 miles out, or I'm willing to go this much, like 10 miles out this way to make this amount on a delivery, because you also have to consider your drive back from whatever location or where you're going to deliver that first order. So with that, you should really learn kind of like the different directions, northeast, southwest, whatever it is, like the neighborhoods that you're delivering to. If there's a lot of traffic, like stoplights, like for me, just in general, to go get the food that I have to go, or the shopping at like CVS or Target or wherever, you know, if it's during the busy time, there's a lot of traffic. So that I have to account into like an extra 2 to 3 minutes, versus if it was like during a non-busy time of the day where you could just flow through and get to places smoother. You have areas where it's like a lot more residential, where you're going to get slowed down because the posted speed limit is 20, 30, 35 miles an hour. So if you're having to drive through a lot of that, and it's say like 2 to 3 miles, that can take up more of your time. And also, there's certain areas that I deliver to that once you drive in a certain way, you can't go back the way that you drove into because it's kind of like a one way, or like the highway doesn't feed off in that direction. So you end up having to take like a extra 3 to 4 minutes just to kind of head back towards the direction that you came from like your hotspot zones and whatnot. So that's just things that you should think about. And one way to kind of keep track of that is like with Uber Eats, or even as an Uber driver, you can see like the amount of time that it took you to do a trip. Say it says you accepted it, like say at 3:30, and then you went to a location and you got whatever you needed, or the person, and then you drove to point B and stopped and delivered and finished the trip. Well, with Uber, you can log all that, so it'll show you like it took you 28 minutes to go 14 miles or whatever it is that you had to do. Another thing that I really highly recommend that you do is kind of figure out, besides like the busy times of the day, but figure out what restaurants are offering good service. So, you may get an order that's good pay, but every time you get there, they don't have the staff, or the food's not ready. Just something is always going on where they're not prepared. So when you get there, say you end up having to wait 5 minutes. 5 minutes isn't too bad. But there's some places where you can go and it takes 15, 20 minutes after you arrive. And so you didn't get that notification on your phone till 10, 11 minutes earlier, because you had to take a couple miles to go to that spot where you're going to go pick up. Well, so then you're accounting, this place couldn't get the order ready within 30 to 35 minutes. So it can get pretty frustrating as a driver, because you're not getting paid, but except on that one delivery. So if you can only make like one delivery an hour, then whatever you get paid for that hour on that one delivery, that's what your hourly rate is, besides like the cost of your gas and your fuel. So there's certain restaurants that I specifically almost always avoid, unless it's like a slow time of the day where like I just need to make some extra money and I'm okay with taking a pay cut. Say like there's a Jack in the Box near me, McDonald's late in the evening. They for some whatever reason, it's usually really busy, or just the orders just take way longer than say just going to go pick up from Subway or Panda Express or something like that. And so the whole point of all this is kind of just to give you a general idea. If you're new to delivering, kind of set different times of the day so you can test. Or if you only want to work weekends, just work weekends only. But figure out what you're comfortable accepting salary-wise, and kind of get used to, say, making, depending on what area you live in, salary-wise, like I'm okay making 20 on the low end to $30 an hour. Like that's kind of like the range that I definitely need to work in. I'm in Texas, so like I know certain areas like California, New York, or just somewhere more rural, like they might be okay making $16 an hour, because their minimum wage might be $5. But you don't want to get used to just taking every order, because you'll end up losing that way. But just to kind of overview, this is just kind of learn your market. So know the prime times, figure which app works best for you. Don't just stick to one. Definitely learn or try to get into another app, because you could make on average $2 to $3 more, or even more than that, with using another app. So don't just limit yourself to just the one app. Find out you could make more. So per trip, like say I have 1,000 trips on Uber alone, a few like 600-700 in DoorDash, and then a few hundred on another app. But you want to figure out which one works best for you, and know your cost, what it takes to operate, and then know the areas, how long it's going to take you. You may accept the job that pays $20, but it could be on the other side with railroad tracks and all these things in the way. So it could end up taking you 15 to 20 minutes longer than what the app says. And also just kind of know your restaurants and places that aren't going to waste your time. So with that, hope you learned something from this video, and I will continue to make more. So please subscribe, and thank you for your time.